old boo, new boo, ex-boo, forced boo, this whole mess. I'm surprised anyone got booed up. We're going to talk about the whole booed mess right now on AfterBuzz TV. This is Gentleman Jack After Show. We got you right now.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz...
Boot up. I just feel like boot up, boot up, boot up. Uh-huh. So many boos. Boot up, boot up, boot up, boot up.
I see it, and
right. Oh my God. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Gentleman Jack After Show. We're talking season 1, episode 7. Why have you bought that? It's a very interesting title. And I usually hear that phrase somewhere. I don't know if I spotted that phrase this week, but we're going to talk about that right now. First, let me introduce my favorite panel. We have not had a full panel in a while, and I would love to tell you tonight's different, but it's not. So shouts out to Deshauna. Oh, we're missing her tonight, but she has made it home safely, so she was doing some travels, but shouts out to her. Yes. And first and foremost, though, welcome back to J-Dub, also known as Joshua, also known as Cleverly Clad, also known as Brand New Dad.
What's up?
How's that fatherhood feeling? That three times a charm fatherhood.
Yeah, 3 times is a charm. It's cool. We had a saying in the South: you keep them barefoot pregnant in the kitchen.
We gonna skip, in honor of Ann Lister, we gonna skip that whole statement. But also my favorite friend in the world, my bestie, she saved so many lives. Everybody, Raiven French is in the building.
Yes, Miss Raiven.
And of course, I'm your girl, Jackie Ray, and welcome once again. We're going to talk about these small little subplots that we got. We've got some business to talk about. Of course, Miss Walker, and of course, the trip. We're also going to tell you some hella facts, and we're going to tell you our prediction for next week's very last episode of this season. Can you believe we made it through?
I'm telling you.
I don't know how next week is the last
I know,
show.
because there's a lot to wrap up, right? Like, how is this going to happen?
I thought we were getting at least 10.
Yes.
At least. So tell me your overall thoughts, Raven.
Ooh, look, I told you, Ann is my friend.
Yeah.
We're friends, and I am concerned about her choice of mates.
She's bouncing around.
I would love to see a conversation because, you know, Raven's my very best friend in the world, and she done set me straight a few times. I would have loved to see the conversation that you would have with her about her choice of relationships.
I will go back, though, because I think last week I did say her and Ann Walker is like... But this week I felt a little different, probably because of this girl now, Mariana. I don't like her more. So I'm like,
I almost wanted to call her Tatiana, but whatever.
Yeah, I'll get
Why don't you like her?
Something about her
neediness.
Yeah, and you got married. How are you giving her attitude?
I think that she's controlling.
Is that your overall thought?
I think that she's controlling because she wants Ann to... It's almost like she wants Ann to still want her and submit to her while she's still with her man.
Right.
So just wait on me.
Yeah.
Typical.
And that's a problem for me. That's an ego issue.
Yeah, I had a problem with this whole episode. You know, I feel like Ann Lister, and in a good way, and because I feel like Ann struggles with, you know, something that we've all struggled with from time to time. And she had a quote that I actually highlighted when her sister asked her if she was okay, and she says, "I'm always all right." And I know I struggle with that sometimes, that I always have to, you know, keep moving forward. And sometimes you don't give yourself time to heal from what you're doing. And but when you do, I don't know if I've made these drastic judgments that she's making that I just feel are all wrong. But let's before we get into all that, let's start with these subplots real quick. Let's get these little subplots out the way. I want to get my favorite. Can I start with my favorite subplot, which of course is Eugenie?
Oh Lord.
You like the shade.
Now, Jackie, I asked you something.
I know you did.
We're gonna call this tea time.
Tea time. Let's just give all the tea, because I have to give a special shout out to my girl Elizabeth, because when the shade is necessary, Elizabeth got your back. Yes. Tell me what you think about, because you know Eugenie is feeling the new groomsman, and to be fair, he fly. He's very fly. He's a cutie. Cool. The new Thomas Grumman, he's fly. So what do you think about the shade that, because you had a thought midway through the show, you thought it was something else. Tell me about the shade that you saw Eugenie
so for me, well, everything came to a head when Thomas hit her with the door.
Back demon.
I mean, so I was confused. So I will let you know that I had to ask Jackie. I said, "Now, Jackie, why is he so mean to Eugenie?" Because he found out that Eugenie is that 1800 thought. Okay, that's what I'll say.
Bust down, Tatiana. Eugeniana. But what, Raiven, what do you think about Elizabeth, though, throwing all the shade, though?
Is she protecting someone, or did she not like you, Jeannie?
I don't know.
What?
I think that she's jealous because notice how everyone said that Eugenie's pretty.
She's gorgeous, yeah.
But no one has ever said anything about Elizabeth because the last time, who's the guy from Crow's Nest? Mm-hmm. And someone said something about her being pretty, and she was staring at him, twisting her hair.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And Elizabeth was like, ugh.
Yeah, so because everybody does kind of fawn over her. Yeah. But isn't Elizabeth too old to be?
And someone was digging
kind of
Elizabeth at one point. Wasn't someone digging?
Well, that's the reason why I think Eugenie she deserves exactly what she's getting. Because when, oh my goodness, his name is skipping me right now, and anyway. But when he tried to marry her to save her from this life of
Booth.
Yes.
Booth.
When she gave him all the shade. Because
she liked Booth, didn't she? Didn't Elizabeth like Booth?
I don't know about that. She might have. I mean, she got to like somebody. You know what I mean? This is the time of...
But she's not an old maid, but she's a woman where...
she is a maid.
Well, no, I mean, but she's not
an old...
Well, I mean, she's not an old maid. I mean, the guys aren't checking for her anymore. Like, her time has passed.
Right.
So they're looking at someone like Eugenie, who's, 20 years younger than Elizabeth? Mm-hmm. What's wrong with Elizabeth pushing Eugenie, saying, look, girl, do your thing? What's wrong with that?
Well, a baby. Because in this time, if you have a baby outside of wedlock, that is drastically shunned. You know what I mean?
I understand that, but I feel if Eugenie had the proper guidance from an older woman, she wouldn't be as frivolous with her body. She still would allow men to respect her more. So there's a portion where I feel Elizabeth could actually help her instead of push her away.
So, Raiven, do you agree? Do you think that Elizabeth has just like shade in her heart, or you think she's trying to help her a little bit?
Shade. But I'm still trying to figure out why. Like, is it just the age thing?
I don't know.
I don't know, but I do know the groomsman was like, let me help you with this shade. She probably want
none of that here. Like, you did that where you don't bring that to my situation.
Because I don't want him getting shot out of a tree.
I'm telling you, over nothing.
Right. But I loved it. I loved the whole, like, she was trying so hard, and then she started bashing her head against, her own hand, and then Miss Lister was like, stop it, you'll damage yourself.
Yes.
So we all recognize you cute, but that's all you got going for you, girl. Stop it. I thought that. I loved the whole Eugenie subplot. But I also want to get to Thomas, because now Thomas has gone and asked Mr. Washington for Susanna's hand in marriage.
That's right.
And how did you react? Because I thought that Mr. Washington had a very fatherly reaction.
He did.
When he went. What did you think about that scene?
I like Thomas. So he's one of those people in real life, like, you just want him to be happy.
Right.
He wants to marry the girl, let him marry the girl. So I like that moment. I'm happy for them. Yeah. I don't know if the age thing even... I know the age came up.
It's 2 years. Like, she's 16, he's 18.
Yeah, and in that time, 16 is... 16 is like maybe 25, 26.
Oh, the way he said it made me think it was an issue.
Right, he said... That's what I found interesting about his saying. He was like, oh, you guys are very young. Now, keep in mind, we've already heard Miss Walker talk about, I'm 29, I don't have anybody. You know what I mean? And that's a big deal. Like, she's so old. So... It just seemed interesting that he was like, you guys are too young. And then I loved when he's like, you've only known each other for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Which is 2 months is a long time, I would imagine.
I mean, that's enough.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, how much, especially back then.
Right.
I mean,
like where it's not like you can just sit around and text each other all day. You got to engage.
Yeah, you're getting familiar with each other face to face. Back in our day, in elementary school at least, when we liked the girl, we walked up to her, we kicked dirt on her, but then we would talk to her and play with her. You know how you kick the little mulch on the girls and chase them around the playground?
Yes.
Yeah, and after a while...
After pulling your hair.
Yeah, well, no, I didn't pull hair because I liked hair, so I didn't pull it.
Okay.
But after a while, they start realizing, like, oh, he just likes me. So then they would sit down. When you're talking to someone, you learn more about them than texting.
Right.
So in that day, and then notice how they were spending time in the forest together. And it was honest time.
Yeah, and they actually talked about marriage. And I thought it was a very adult... Well, okay... Do you want to marry me? Because you over here talking about marriage. Like, do you want to marry?
Yeah.
I thought it was a very adult conversation.
Right.
Well, I think she initiated it.
He initiated the conversation
Yeah,
about marriage,
right?
And then she was just like, okay, this bush that you beating around is too big.
Yeah,
you want to marry me?
Yeah. And he was like, well, I don't know. And she was just like, all you got to do is ask my daddy.
Yep.
So she had already made it clear. But we saw that a couple of episodes ago when she came in.
She was smitten with him immediately.
Yeah, she saw him and she was like, oh. Because he's a good-looking
He's
guy.
a cutie, too.
Yeah, I'm going to say he has a nice shape. He works hard. And that was attractive to those types of women.
Yeah, she looked at him the way that Miss Lister's sister looked at the new groomsman.
Oh,
she
no.
turned around and was...
That's the difference.
She was looking for the print, honey.
Yeah, she was like,
she
I'll take
was.
you into town.
Yeah, she was all up on that zipper. I'm just saying.
That's it.
That was it.
She was.
So they finally get the blessing, and then Mom tells an unnecessary lie about where Dad is.
Right.
How did you feel about...
I think that anytime you lie big, you get caught big.
Right.
Just keep it simple. We haven't heard from him. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, even Thomas was taken aback. He kind of looked at her. He side like,
He's like, oh,
he's like, your mama, you gonna remember all that? Because I'm not.
Right.
That was too much. The man was a drunk. Just let him be drunk somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. That
He
would
fell
be
off the wagon.
Yeah.
Literally.
He
Don't they have
left
wild
us.
animals out there? Couldn't he have been eaten by a wild animal?
He technically was.
I mean, he was.
But I'm fine.
All right, so now let's get into the business, because this whole thing of when Miss Lister's sister went to the bank and the way Mr. Rawson treated her, this is next level. I'm not entirely sure what his intention is, because he says to her, first of all, he lies.
Yes.
And says Miss Lister has offered up the deed to the house. And then says, oh, and by the way, that little dude that you was checking for, he'll marry a girl because she had more money to offer than you, and I'll marry you, but I'm just gonna do it for your coal. Again, that's hurtful, because in this time, the fact that she's still not married is hurtful. Like, what did you think about that?
Raiven.
I think he was drunk, because
You think he was?
That the conversation, I don't understand the end game. I know Miss Lister said he was trying to get information.
Right.
But to poke at her in that way, I don't know. Did he think she would get so angry and say something? It seemed
I don't
like
think
he was more
drunk.
You don't think he was drunk? Because if he's not drunk, that's just evil.
It is, but has Mr. Rawson showed you that he's not evil?
No.
I mean, he broke a kid's leg, and he's walking around apathetic about it and throwing change at people, at little kids. I don't think he was drunk.
I think he can be that evil, not drunk. I just think he
just gives him an excuse.
was right.
Yeah.
I just didn't, I'm with you, Raven. I just don't know if I understood his end game, because you knew, and that was the one moment that I really liked, because there was a moment where Miss Lister was like, okay, he must be trying to figure out, what's going on with me. But then she saw her sister was crying, and then she went into big sister mode. Like, hold on. It's one thing to send your goons to beat me up, but this is my little sister.
Yeah.
You playing with fire now. And I felt like, because she seemed really defeated to me in the last
Marion?
episode. No, Miss Lister.
Oh, yes, of course.
She seemed very defeated. But it seemed like when her little sis got messed with, she got a little bit of her fire back. Yeah.
Well, because she's a protector. And she really, as much as she goes around, if you really watch her motives, she's trying to protect everybody. She doesn't want her coal stolen to protect her family. She doesn't want unmarried people on her property, or she doesn't want older people on her property, because married younger people can be on that property. So in a sense, she tries to protect people. That's how I look at it. So you mess with her family.
Yeah.
It's like she said, you can mess with me. I'm strong enough, but my sister isn't.
Now, how did you feel about, because it seems like people like Mr. Rawson, I feel like when you back them into the right corner, they tend to crumble.
Weak.
Because they're just bullies. You know what I mean? So they don't have any strength. But the harder she came at him, the more he was like, you keep running around here telling these lies if you want to. He seemed to like just batten down the hatches. That was weird to me.
His bluff was hard.
Yeah.
He's bluffing.
I was almost like, is he
telling the truth?
Right. I mean, he real with it. Like,
Right.
I actually didn't know what to think about him in that moment. I know he knows he has the upper hand still.
Right.
So he can go hard, because he
Does
knows
he
she
have the
doesn't-
upper hand?
He knows she doesn't. Well, he feels she doesn't have the money to.
Because Miss Walker, because she
Miss
thinks
Walker left.
Right. Okay.
Right.
All right.
And where's she going to get the money to sink her own pit?
But
Right.
Miss Walker already still offered the dough.
But
remember,
she didn't accept it.
She didn't
Now
accept
she's
it.
gone.
Yeah, and they've agreed to not write each other and whatnot.
Right.
So there's that. But So
She's like, go get the money.
she does have
Go.
get the money. She does have options because now she goes to the oh goodness, I forget his name. The guy that's been writing her lease and giving her the lawyer.
Yeah, he's the lawyer.
and basically the very thing that she said to her sister she wouldn't do, I hope you think better of me than that,
Right.
she ends up doing.
I don't even think she would have had the idea if the sister.
Wouldn't have brought it to her.
Yeah.
So maybe that was Mr. Rawson's whole thing.
Maybe the lawyer and Mr. Rawson are working together.
I did think that. I thought
I
that
didn't
for
even
a
think
sec.
about
How's
that.
Mr. Rawson
thought
so
that.
aware of everything? Go ahead, Raven, hit it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Now that's confirmation because I'm like, what if this guy is not on her team like she
Yeah.
thinks?
I didn't even think that because he just seems so, innocent and loving and
Right.
It's a chess match with those two.
Right.
So
So Mr. Rawson tells Marion, she tells Lister, and then Lister goes and tells the lawyer. I mean, the lawyer has everything to gain from all of this.
right on both sides. Either way,
Yeah. He can sit back and just collect his coins from whoever's willing. And notice how he was like, he was pushing her, saying, "No, your deal's not bad. That's a great deal. I wouldn't take any less either."
Right.
Because
So
I mean,
maybe he's
getting a little shucky by the by Rawson.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't even think. Okay, look at y'all, Inspector Gadgets.
All
and
right,
whatnot.
Raven.
All right.
Right.
Who need us?
Right. So Mr. Washington and Mr. Holt come up with a plan. Like let's revisit this. Anne decides, yes, let's revisit that. That's why she gets the money, but she still wants to run. How are you going to sink a pit and bounce at the same time? Now she tells her dad that that's the perfect cover.
Right,
But is it though?
I think it is.
Look, tell us because
Okay.
I was concerned with her leaving.
Well, for me, if she's leaving, then she can't be held accountable for the pink sinking because that's a job that you would monitor. The way
So
that
it's plausible deniability.
Right. Thank you. That's plausible deniability is the perfect phrase because she's leaving. So since she's leaving, if the pink is sunk, then they can blame it on someone else, and she can say, "I had no knowledge of this," and she can come back angry, mad, upset, blaming, pointing the finger. Because in that time frame, like it's not like now. Like I can leave and do something away, and then that makes me look guilty. But in that time frame, if you're gone, I don't think it makes you look guilty.
Well, see, to me, it just really looks like she's running. It really looks to me like she wants to sink the pit, and if it's successful, sweet. If it's not, I'm at a far already, and I'm safe to kind of protect myself. That's what it looks like to me.
Because there's nothing wrong with what she's doing. As far
Right,
as
it's her
sinking the pit.
property.
Right, so she
Right.
can do that. She doesn't have to hide that she's doing that.
She's just trying to make Rawson pay for the debts.
And she told him that, and I loved when she told him that. She's like,
Yes.
just own it. Like, this is what you've been doing. And by the way, I know the name of the man that you had come beat me up. You no good something or another.
Yeah.
So I
like that too.
I love that part. But she's got a little bit of her strength back, but she's still running. Now, I've had my heart broken before, but I don't know if I've ever had that. Let me pack up and run.
Do you think she's running from?
I think she's running from heartbreak.
Okay, that was my question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I initially was like, is she going to get money from somebody?
Because that would make sense if she's
Right.
going to Miss Lawton to say, hey, boo thing, you remember that time you went and married that man when we was supposed to kick it? I'm going to need some
But you know,
reparations for
Lister
that.
is clever.
But she's clever when she's in her right mind. Right now, she's operating on heartbreak mode. She's full throttle heartbreak to
So
me.
all emotions,
All emotions.
no logic. Okay,
She's free of logic at this point.
that's a fair assessment. Okay.
All right, so now let's get to Miss Walker, because Miss Walker has left, and she's having a very hard time. She's with her sister, and I have to say, explain that laugh. I need you to explain all of that just happened.
I'm not making fun of Miss Walker and her mental state. I do take mental health very seriously. Let me make that very clear. However, some of this is self-inflicted.
Absolutely.
That's why it's funny.
Yes.
But
Because
is it can you say self-inflicted if you have a mental illness?
No, it is self-inflicted. Let me tell you. And
Tell me.
this is my infinitesimal experience, okay? I have known people who they've had mental health experiences. I won't say disorders. But a lot of times it's self-inflicted because a situation takes place and Lister says that she doesn't want to be with Walker anymore because she's not mentally strong enough. So now Walker's creating these scenarios in her head of them getting hung because they're lovers and people hating them, castigating them. And it's like, just chill out.
But that didn't come from anywhere. It did happen to the two men. That's how they got planted in her mind.
Right, but
and we met her with mental issues.
Yeah, we did. So okay. I'm not negating that. I'm saying this small portion here, this I can't think of my terminology now, but this isolated incident is what I'm talking. Like, this is based off her relationship with Lister and Walker. So if she were to just accept Miss Lister, notice how sane she was when she would be hanging out with Miss Lister, sitting on the couch, talking. The busybody came in, Miss Priestley came in, all up in the business. And Walker was like, I'm straight, bruh. Like, and then all of a sudden, you just have this 180 and now you're hearing voices and
He's not feeling it, in case y'all didn't notice, Raiven.
Well, I think she gets her strength from Miss Lister.
I agree.
But that doesn't make her conscious in that way.
Okay, that's a fair
point. It just
point.
means she's weak, and so she's around someone else who she can take off their energy. And when that doesn't exist, she's
so then
weak.
Why wouldn't she be with Lister if she knows Lister is her balance?
So I think she wants to be with Miss Lister, but I think, again, it's one of those things where it's just a time and it's a difficulty, and she is super religious and blah, blah, blah. But I am going to say, go ahead.
Abused.
And abused, yes, very mentally abused.
Okay.
Because even, I'm going to get back to my point in a second, but even with this, the doctor says that he's received a letter from the sister.
Right.
And they have sought no medical help for her. And they say she's much improved. And then after he says, the sister's husband says she's much improved, the next thing we know, we see him trying to hook her up with the same man we know has stupid, dumb debt.
Yeah.
So they're really trying to exploit her mental illness.
Of course.
So, but here's the thing, back to your point. She's sharp enough to say, I shan't marry him. She knows exactly what's happening to her in that moment. So, although this is going to go against everything I pretty much said this entire series, I think they're both equally weak. I think Miss Lister and Miss Walker are equally weak, because when Miss Lister gets lonely, she goes on an emotional roller coaster and leaves stupid decisions in her wake.
Yes, I agree.
When Miss Walker's just weak all the time. At least her weakness isn't triggered by some person coming in and out of her life. She's always weak. Yes, she gets her strength from Miss Lister, but even in getting that strength from Miss Lister, she's not abundantly strong.
I understand that.
You know what I mean? So I think that they're equally weak, but I just don't think we've seen that because Miss Lister is going to hop from bed to bed to bed.
But what is she doing? Okay, so let me, what
I
is
don't know if I could say equally weak for those two.
I mean,
go ahead,
different kind of weaknesses. Like, I don't think Miss Lister is going to be manipulated in the way that Miss Walker is, but I do think when we're talking about just straight up emotions,
it leads her to make stupid decisions.
Miss Lister is capable of anything.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I agree with that, and I think, and Miss Walker, we've seen this from her. She may not know a lot, but I think she knows love, and that's why she says, I shan't. I think, especially with her experience with Miss Lister, she knows what the feeling of loving someone is.
Should feel
and
like.
She's not going to do what we see the other women of that time do, which is they marry for money or marry for this, whatever a person has. And I think that's where the shan't is. Like,
okay.
So who knows love better than Miss Walker or Miss Lister? Because Miss Lister seems to just chase it in whatever bed comes up.
I don't know if it's a better, because it's a perspective of the individual.
Yeah, it is based off that. I think, to answer your question, I would say, I agree with you, Raiven, but I have to say this. I do think Lister knows love better because she's actually experienced it more. So the reason why she
experienced love or lust? Because sometimes I don't know what she got going on.
I think she's experienced love with Miss Hobart.
Oh, Miss Hobart?
I think Miss Hobart was love, and I think the way Miss Hobart broke her heart made her search for love. That's why she's so gung-ho on finding someone.
I thought Miss Lawton was her one true love. And that's the one that married Charles and then broke her heart.
Yeah.
So, but then she loved Miss Hobart. Now
Who was
she
first?
loves, I don't know. That's why the comment that we received last week was a great comment when she said it would have been great if they would have told us the time frame.
I was just about to say, we're seeing a condensed version, because if we say our loves, it was probably more than one love, and in a different way, put them together, probably totally different people. Like, you loved him, him.
He crazy. He cool. Yeah.
So I think the series makes it feel more
Like it's
that
just
way.
back to back. Yeah.
I'll have to get to the book, guys.
That's
I'm
a
gonna
good
get to
point.
The book. I've been busy.
So she let's talk about the trip now.
Okay.
Because the trip seems like a panic trip to me, but we on it anyway. And so she arrives at Miss Lawton's house, and Charles, Miss Lawton's husband, his nephew has died, and then we also realize his brother has died. And this Miss Lawton says, like, if Charles died, then his brother would have had to take care of me. But now that his brother's dead, if he dies, no one's gonna take care of me. And then Miss Lister's like, oh, I'm sure he made arrangements for you. She's like, no, I doubt he has. And my plan was to come be with you after he died. How did y'all feel about that? Raiven,
Ray.
let's start with you.
Hit it.
I guess that really is her plan now.
Right.
Now
Yeah.
that the dude is dead,
Right.
she has limited options at this point. So I'm not feeling her.
At all.
No, I don't even know how she likes her or
I
how
don't
she
know.
ever liked her. I guess the part they're showing of her, but it's like,
Because she seems, I mean, she just seems like one of those people. Like,
Blank.
yeah, and like guys that have mistresses and be like, baby, I love you, but it's complicated.
Yeah.
Like, she seemed like, no, it's not complicated. We either doing this or we ain't.
right.
You know what I mean? And I get the time.
But that's what makes it complicated. I'm not an complicated guy, but
I'm like, whoop.
I've been there in relationships where I'm like, it's not as cut and dry as that.
You
But-
see, you got two women looking at you like you
but
need to
I will
explain.
say-
Well, I'm married now, so I'm good. I'm out of that world. But I'm just saying that at that moment when it's like either we doing this or we not, it's a lot that goes with the we doing this.
I have seen people in real life and on TV shows where we've seen it written where the person is in a relationship and they are longing for another person. And as a viewer, or even maybe in real life, you're rooting for that other person because you see something about their love.
Yeah.
Even though they're with someone and it's like you actually should not be rooting for them to.
Because what if
but we
someone
don't
marries
see
wrong?
anything in this.
So, okay, so I'll just share my view of romance.
Crank it.
Like, when you fall in love with someone, right? The reason why people fall out of love is because people just think they're going to be perpetually falling. That's
Right.
not the case. You have
I can't
to
say that's the reason.
I mean, if I find a situation that's different, then I'll own up to it, but I haven't. Because people be like, oh, well, when we got together, he did this, and that. Yeah, but when you got together, you did this, and that.
Right.
And people stop doing the things that make you fall in love. And I think that that's what Anne is experiencing. Like, she's getting into these people.
You mean with Walker or with
I mean,
all
with
these other
everybody.
people? Okay.
She gets with Miss Lawton, knowing that Miss Lawton doesn't want to walk around with a masculine woman. So she's perpetually chasing things that aren't real, so she can be like, oh, see, you know, it's almost like the constant victim. You know what I mean? So, but when you fall in love with somebody, if Miss Lawton was truly in love with her, Miss Lawton would be like, if you could just wear a dress, baby, like just maybe put on some blush, then I'll
I can talk to you.
shave off the mustache. I'll rock with you, but you gotta at least look like a girl. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because love doesn't just say, oh, you know what, this is too hard for me, I can't do it. That's not
Right.
what. That's why Miss Walker probably started appealing to her, because Miss Walker was like, man, I know this ain't right, and we have to figure out a way to do this. Now, she did have moments where she was like, nah, but ultimately for her love was real, and she wanted to try to find a way to make it work. So
Okay.
I just don't think Miss Lawton or anybody else that Miss Lister has dealt with has really fallen in love. They've fallen into a situation. They've fallen into something that's taboo, because taboo is
And
always
she has
fun.
a magnetism.
So
She
you don't
does.
think you don't think any of these women actually loved Lister? They just were excited about the negativity or the relationship.
I think taboo is very alluring. You know what I mean? Because I actually know people that were like, girl, when I was messing with him, when he had somebody, it was all good. But now that he's around all the time, it ain't as much fun. Because taboo is alluring. It's sexy, right? And I think there's a side of Miss Lister that might know. Now, look, this is just my conjecture.
Well,
y'all.
no, we want to hear that. That's
Right.
what the fans want.
But I think there's a side of Miss Lister that understands that what she's doing is taboo for the time. So to make it easy on herself to be like, oh, God, you did this to me, you cursed me, she goes after these women who've already told her, like, look, I'm going to marry a man. but we could still do our thing.
So Ms. Lister is partly to blame based off the people she's selecting.
I think so. I think that sometimes you have to take some blame for the people you choose, because at the end of the day, you are choosing the people you're with.
I'm going to agree with that on a spiritual level. I do just in life believe we create what has happened to us.
You're right.
And that she's living out of whatever trauma baggage. I just don't think it's conscious. So I will have to agree. And I'm going to tell y'all to run that back. What Jackie said love is. Love wouldn't do that. Okay. I like it. I like it.
Oh, snippy, snap, snap, snap. All right, well, we kind of got through this episode pretty quick. Now, here's the one thing that I thought was the most beautiful moment, because this is where I was like, Miss Lister is in love.
Okay.
It's because I believe when you're in love with somebody, or even if it's a platonic friendship, you know the minute. Tell the moment, Raiven. I want you to describe the moment.
Is it the moment when she could feel?
Yes. She
could feel Miss Walker.
I don't know why you making that face.
I didn't make a face.
You could feel your honey bunny no matter where he or she is. You feel their happiness and their pain, and that was good. That's when you know.
I just love.
Look, I got giddy thinking about it.
I love to hear y'all talk about this. This is beautiful. It really is.
You've never had that?
No, I have.
Okay,
but I'm saying I know. When my woman, something's wrong with her, and she's an alpha female, so she'll come out and say it 90% of the time.
But it's that 10%.
But that 10%, it's the one I still have hair. Because I'm like, babe, I know something's wrong.
Right.
No, I'm okay, and I'm watching you not feel right.
Right.
And the reason I asked you how you were doing is because I had a feeling. Now mine is not in my belly. Mine is closer up, a little taller, a little higher. But it was the feeling I had when we first met. It's the same feeling you get when something's wrong.
Right.
You can tell. So you all are right. I just like hearing y'all talk about it.
Gush.
Yes, I was when that moment happened, and I was so proud of her, because she kind of broke that fourth wall for a second, but she was looking in the mirror, and then she marched out, and she had that moment where she was going to tell the groomsmen and Eugenie, when she was banging her hand against her hand, that look, we gotta go get my girl. Like, I'm tripping. Let's go. And then she stopped herself.
So why did she stop herself?
I don't know. She's
had too many, probably too much trauma with her at this point.
Okay.
It's just like.
That's what I was going to ask. Is this a situation, I want the females now. Is this a situation where, as a young lady, you feel you've gone too far to come back? Like, you'll lose something. You'll lose some respect, or could that be it?
Could be, for sure.
Okay.
Because I've had moments where you make a choice, and it becomes, let me just call and check on him. It doesn't, don't care about the outcome because you feel whatever you feel.
Right.
Let me just call and make sure this person is okay.
Okay.
So it does become that choice, or the other choice, which is what Miss Lister made, which is, no, he done did this, and this to me.
Right.
Good luck.
But yet you're in London with the chick who married a dude. But you can't go and see about the girl who's hearing voices because of how much she loves you. I don't understand.
I think Walker made that decision when she decided that she couldn't be with her, and she made that decision when she decided to go with what Miss Priestley said about the two gentlemen being hung. So I think Anne is hurt. Like, with all of this, we can, you're right. She is emotional. She's making inane decisions. She's just one after the other. But the result of everything is that she's really is hurt.
Yeah, for sure.
And she just expresses her hurt in a different way.
Okay, I'll give you the hurt. Y'all all making me, I'm a, like,
Jack attack. That's what I call him.
Yes, Jack.
Whatever, y'all. All right, you guys. Let us know what you think in the comments below. But we're going to get you some details about the era, because Raiven right now is going to bring you some hella facts.
Ding! She always says some, guys.
Oh, my bad. Hella fact.
Okay, I'm going to run it back to I don't know what show it was where we talked about the fork, right?
The fork.
Up or down.
Oh, yes. It was like the first episode. Yes.
So I don't know who was, they were all eating at the table and
they're putting it on top of the fork.
The points were down. Yes. Well, I work with someone, first of all, who is European, and he did say that the posh people do eat with their forks that way.
Told y'all.
So there are 2 basic methods for eating with a knife and a fork. The American involves having your fork in your left hand and your knife in your right hand when cutting your food, then putting the knife down and switching your fork to the right hand to eat. Tins facing upwards, if you're right-handed, that is. With the European method, the fork remains in the left hand and the knife helps you coax your food onto the fork.
That's right.
The tins remain facing down.
That sounds so much easier. Cutting, putting it down, switching hands, eating, versus scoop, scoop, eat.
Let me see.
Well, I'm left-handed, so I never have to switch my fork around.
And I just have
I never switch mine. I just got
no etiquette, okay?
So yeah, don't take me to no fancy restaurant, y'all. I will embarrass you.
Oh Lord, it's out there.
So you think the scooping onto the fork is easier?
Yeah. So the way my parents taught me. My mom was a Calabasas type girl. She taught us the way you take your knife, your fork is flat, and you shovel your food onto your fork, and you still eat it with the tins up. That's how you eat. That's how we were taught to eat. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's enlightening. Do you want to enlighten the people on anything?
I would like to enlighten the people. I would. Now, first off, I would like to say that I am glad to be back in the number one more time.
We're glad to have you.
Glad to
Yes.
have you.
And I don't believe in keeping women barefoot, pregnant, and in the kitchen. Okay, let me put that out there. I am not a male chauvinist. I believe in career women.
Amen.
Okay, my wife is pre-med at USC.
Oh, get it, girl.
All right,
get it, girl.
so
Get it.
let me just let y'all know that out there, okay? Now, let's get on to some old business, okay? We here at AfterBuzz TV appreciate every one of you making us the ESPN of TV talk. Now, for those of you watching us on YouTube, those of you listening by Spotify, iTunes, we would like a comment. We would like 5 stars. Only 5 will do. It will not allow you to click any less than 5. Make sure you tell your friends. Tell everyone what we're doing here at AfterBuzz TV. We love Raiven. We love me. We love Jackie. And also do we love Deshauna O.
Yes.
We are very proud to be here. And we want you all to keep joining us. Thank you.
Yes.
Ding, ding. Oh, wow. That was very... Okay.
Uh-oh.
You're dreamy.
I hear you.
You're so dreamy. All right, we're sorry we didn't get to, kind of get some conversations going, and if we missed some facts, and let me tell you guys right now, you guys are the historians out there.
Woo.
We comment all week long. Be gentle with your historic facts, and just go ahead and leave those in the comments. We definitely will shout you out next week, because guess what? Next week is the final episode of this season. I need it to be a 2-hour episode. How are they going to wrap all this
so
up?
Confused. Yes.
And I don't want to wait till next year to get another season. Bring it back in August.
Something, because we in here now. We in here. But do we have any predictions, Raiven? You got any? Let's get into some AfterBuzz predictions.
Your AfterBuzz TV.
That sounds so sci-fi. We're predicting a spaceship is going to land in 1800. Anyway.
Oh, no, that would have been a miracle. Well, based off everything that went on this week, I do believe that Miss Lister will be returning back to Halifax with a different type of vigor. Because of everything she's experienced out, in England or in other parts of England. She's going to come back, and I think she's really going to attack the Rawsons based off trying to protect her land. As far as her and Walker, I think they'll see each other, but I think we may have to wait till next season to see what that's going to culminate into.
Yes, that's why I'm a little stumped, because it's the season finale, I'm a little stumped on predictions, because I don't know how they can put all the information I feel like we should get in this one episode. Yes, she will go back. I don't even know how to feel about the success of her sinking the pit, if that's going to happen or not. I am confused.
Yeah, I am too, and I agree with both of those predictions, because I don't have much else outside of that, because I just don't know. I'm like, is it gonna be a 3-4 hour episode? What we doing? So I don't know, but I do predict it'll be good, and I am going to predict that Eugenie's feminine wiles are going to finally break down Thomas, and she gonna get that groomsman.
Really?
I think so.
Oh,
I mean, she the cutest thing in the city.
And guys are guys.
Yeah,
Sorry.
y'all are very visually stimulated. Don't stop lying. Stop lying. This is the same man you know I know.
There's an exception to the rule.
But I'm saying with Thomas though, like he's on 10.
I'm saying, but he fly, she fly. I mean, who else in the town is fly?
Everybody, all the other guys are basic.
She's gonna do
saying.
something so sweet, like cute.
Come
like,
out in the French maid. Do they make French maid things back then? I don't know.
Yeah,
We will
what
talk
did it-
about it on Howard Class.
Fashion.
Oh yes, all
I
right.
want to know.
So you have to come back next week, so we can get these fashion tips from Josh.
Yes.
But before we get out of here, guys, let's tell everybody. Raven, tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find me on all social media, Raiven with an I, Raiven French on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all that.
Josh,
And you can find me everywhere at Cleverly Clad. I did have a shout out that I wanted to make to Rocky Crocker. Thank you so much for your comment on my picture. Thank you so much for the congratulations. I really appreciate it.
Aw. Everybody, you can find me. I'm Jackie Ray. You can find me everywhere on social media at JRay the Fanatic. And of course, you can find us all back here next Monday for the season finale that has us all confused but ever so excited. So make sure you set your clocks. We'll be here. Get in the comments. Chat with us. Chat with us right now. Leave a comment. We'll chat with you. And we will see you next week. Buzz you later.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.